Hi, in this video we're going to be showing you how to use an existing local database and put it in your Android application. So first we're going to start by creating an Android project. We're going to name it test database for now. Then next, and it doesn't matter what you choose, then an empty activity. Then we'll name it main activity and generate the file with it. Okay, so now we're going to go to the app Java and your the package name that you have there. We'll create a new Java class and we'll name it student. This will be where we'll get the student ID and set the student ID for each of the variables that you have inside your database table. So now we'll have an integer of ID and a string of student name. Now when the public student, we have to put the integer of ID and of course our string of student name. We'll limit that for now. So in the public student like class, we'll put our this.id is equal to id and the student name is equal to student name that we put a string on top. Next we'll have to put the public void of setting the id, which is going to be the integer of the id we put on the top. So this is going to be this.id is equal to id, and then we're going to make a public int to get the id, which is going to be return the dash under id. Then we'll do the same for the student name, because we'll have these two variables in our database. It depends on yours, whatever how many variables you have to put in that much. And for this one, then we'll put our student name as a string of database where we put before the integer id, and we do the same thing with getting the student name. Then in our resource folder, we'll go to the layout and activity main.xml. We'll create a text view for our variables to show in here later on in the video. So we're just going to make a normal box with it and just put the borders and everything for now. You can do anything with it wherever you want to put it, and we'll make a background of edit box so we can at least see it from the back. And we'll put a student list of the text of student list here, and the text color we'll just put red so we can see it and make it a bit bigger. And here we'll put the Android ID, which is very important as ID of list. And now in our main activity.java, we're going to import a package of the widget of text view. So we're going to import android.widget.textView, and we're going to make a text view. We'll just name it LST for now. And in our onCreate, we'll make an LST is equal to a text view, then find view by ID. We'll put R, which is for the layout, dot ID dot list, which is the ID we gave in the main XML. So we'll put my DB handler. DB handler is equal to new my DB handler, which is going to be getting the object. For now we just made it my DB handler, which the project will create later on. Then lst.text set text DB handler dot load handler, which is going to be in the after that. So now we're going to create another class of my DB handler, which we, as I said before, we'll create this now. Firstly, we'll have to import a few stuff. So it's going to be import the Database SQLite exception. We have to import some of the widgets. We have to import our Java, the files, input stream. So for now, let's go through them. The database ones are going to get SQLite database. Cursor is going to be for getting database information. Content.context is going to be getting the information from the table that we're going to put in our files. And java.io.file is going to be for getting the file path and the file name. And the file output stream and input stream are going to be for getting it from the folder and getting it to show. And we'll do an extends the SQLite database, SQLite open helper, because we're going to be using the SQLite database for this one. Then just implement the methods that is shown, just create OK, and there will be another one which you have to create the constructor for the super. So do the same thing, go on top and click on the error and to get the method for that one as well. So here we won't be needing any of the nullable androidx.animation, so just delete that all for now, because we'll put our own ones for the object. So let's just delete that. Now firstly we're going to be in context, and we'll limit the context for the database. Then we'll add a string of name for now, which we won't need it. Then we'll add an SQLite database dot cursor factory to get the database from. We'll name it just factory, and after that we'll just put an integer of version. And this one we have to put the super. We have to put firstly our context that we made. Then next will be our database name, which we're going to create later on. and next is just going to be factory, then our database version. Now we'll just create our database version, which will be a public static final integer, and we'll just name it db version for now. Sorry, it's supposed to be an integer. So the db version we're just going to create equals to, so this will be every time you want to update your database version, you just increase the number one by one. Nextly, we'll make our private static final string for our database name, so final string db name, and it depends on what your name of database is. For example, ours is student.db, and we should put the quotation between them, of course, so you can get the name. And next we have to make the database path, so we'll just copy the database name for that and copy the same thing. The only thing we'll have to change is not a final, and we'll name it db path for now. This one you have to do exactly the same, because that's like it goes into the mobile, the phone, and it gets the database from you. So slash data slash user slash 0 slash com dot, like, get your package name. Ours is com.c4kurd.test database. Then after that, slash databases, and don't forget the slash in the end again. So after that, you can get the package of the database. Next, we'll create a SQLite database. We'll name it my database, and after that, we'll create a private static final for our context, which we'll just name mContext for now. So now we're done with our variables on here. So next we'll have to go to our public mydb handler and create a for the context, so we can get, so we'll write this dot mcontext. So then, oh sorry, it should be a private final our context, so private final context, then this dot mcontext should be equal to context. So now we're done with that, and we have an onCreate and an upgrade, which we won't be using in this video. So next we'll have to create a private method called check database, and this will be checking if our database actually exists or not. So it should be a private boolean check database. In here, firstly we have to try, so we'll put the try function, then final string path is going to be equal to our database path plus database name. So it's going to get the whole like database path until our database name that we have used for this application. So it should be db path plus db name, and then don't forget to put the semicolon. And of course this means that our database path is going to be until there, then you'll get our database name, whatever we have put. And so next we're going to put a final file of files, so we can get the file from there. Is going to be our new file of mpath, which we just chose, so we can like check if that database in that path is available or not. So we're going to put an if statement. If file dot exists, then return true, and then we'll put a else for that, and else will be returned false. If the file does not exist, then we'll have to return a false statement. So then return false. Okay, then we have to go down next to the bracket, and we have to put a catch statement, which is going to be just catch of SQL exception of, we'll just put an e, then e dot print stack trace, which is going to get an error if it's not available, so it doesn't crash the application. So then we'll return our false if it's like that. So next we'll create another method called private void. We'll name it copy database. Then this one will be to get the database if it does exist and copy it into our application. So this one will just do a throws IOE exception. And then in our method, firstly we'll have to write the try function, same as the check database, and a catch. Then inside the catch, we'll just put a exception this time. We don't need the SQLite database. Exception of e, then the same thing, e.print stack trace. So we don't get the same crashing. It just gives us an error. So now in our try function, we're going to write our input stream, as I said, which is going to get the database. Is going to be, we're just going to name it m input stream. This is going to be the same. We have to write m context dot get assets, which this one will later put on in our assets folder. We'll create later on. And dot open the database name, which will, as I said, we'll put the database in the application. Then it will be with the same name. Next, we'll put our string out file name, which is going to be the database path plus the database name as we did before. So this one's going to be so we can get the database. So next, our output stream, which is going to be showing us the values of this, we're going to name it m output stream, is going to be equal to our new file output stream. Then inside there we'll put the out file name, same as we did before. So now we're going to create a byte so we can get the info from the database. We're going to name it buffer is equal to new byte of 1024. We're going to put. Then we're going to put an integer of length. We're going to name it length for now. So this is going to be to get the info from the database. So it will be named copy database so we can get if it exists. So now we're going to put a while length is going to be equal to the m of input stream, which is getting the database, and it will read it. When it reads of the buffer, get the information, is going to be greater than 0, then it will get the information and the variables all from the database. Now inside the while, we're going to put a function of our m output stream dot write the information, of course. So now we're going to put our buffer, then we're going to do our buffer, then off of 0, then in the last of the integer we're going to put our length. Then after that we're going to do an m out stream dot flush, then close, and do the same with our input stream. We're going to close as well. So let's just write those, and okay. Then after this one, after we've done all of this, we have to create another method, which this one's going to be a method of creating database. So these two are just used for checking if database exists, and if it does exist, do this action. Then the create database, we're going to do the whole function to get the information. So now we're going to create a public void, name it create database. And in this create database, it will be the same as the copy database. Will throws an IV exception. Then inside our public void of create database, we're going to put a boolean which is going to check if the database exists. So we're going to put name it database exist, and we're going to get our check database function, or let's say our method of the boolean we put on top. This one's going to check if the database exists. If it does, then it will proceed on with the build. So then, as you see inside, we put our check database. If it exists, then we'll go there. If it's true only. If it's true, then it will go there. Now we're going to put an if function. In our if function, we're going to write if database does not exist, then this dot get readable database, because we don't want to be able to write over database. Then this does close. This is very important. This closes database again. If you do not put this, your application will crash. So now we're going to put on a try function. In our try function, same as the other, we have to put a catch. So then in our try function, firstly we have to put the copy database, of course, because like this one says try if it does exist. If it is true, then we have to copy the database as the function we wrote before. So as you see there, it'll do all our work for us there. Then after the copy database, we don't have to put anything else in our try method. Then we'll go to our catch function. In the catch function, we have to write an exception, but this time it's going to be even IO exception, and we're going to name that IO exception MIO exception. So in there, we'll have to write the MIO exception dot print stack trace, and okay, then we put the MIO exception dot print stack trace. So after this, we have to do something else, which is going to be throw a new error, which is going to write a error copying database if it doesn't exist. If that doesn't do it, then the copy database doesn't work, then we're just going to write error copying database for now. Then after that, we're going to put a finally function, which is like a block. Then you do finally, then create another 2 brackets. Then inside there, we're just going to write this dot close, so it closes everything up. So now that we're done with creating our create database, copy database, and check database, we've done with that. We're left with not using our create database yet. So firstly, we have to create another method, which is gonna be the close method of our database. So we'll write a public void synchronized closed. So of course, first you have to write override. Then we're gonna write public synchronized void. Then we're gonna name it close for our functions. Then inside our closed method, we're gonna write if our database which we put at the top, which we put SQLite database my database, if it's not equal to null, so if it does exist, then my database dot close, so it will close the function after that. And then we'll put a SQLite database dot release memory, which is going to free any unwanted memory in your mobile. So then lastly, we're going to put a super dot close, so we can like absolutely close everything up. So after this, we're done with the close. Now we have to do the load handler, which load handler is going to get all the information. We made all of these. This one's going to show the information and get our results. So we're going to do a string for now. You can make it as an array list if you want. For now, we're going to make it a string. So public string load handler. So inside our load handler, firstly, we're going to put a try function in our load handler. So this try function is going to create the database. So if everything is right, then you should create our database, which we made the public void create database before. So then the catch function will be catch of IO exception e, then e dot print stack trace. So after this, we're gonna go after the try function. We're gonna write a string of result. You can make it as an array list, as I said before. So for now, we're gonna just use a string is equal to an empty quotes, because later on when we're gonna create all the results, we're gonna put it inside the results string. So next, we'll put SQLite database. We'll create one named DB. Will be this dot get readable database. So before we don't want to rewrite this because it's gonna be an existing local database. So we're gonna put a cursor c is equal dot db dot raw query. In this query, you're gonna write exactly like this. You want to get from what table. So it's gonna be between quotes. We're gonna write select, then space star space. You have to put the space between them from the student, which our table is called student, which you can see on the screen. It's named student, and we've got the integer and a text. So next, we'll do a comma, then a null for this one because we don't need any argument selected. So our next one, which is going to be a while function, so it's going to be while our c dot move to next. So this move to next gets the cursor to the next row. So here we're going to put an integer of result ID because our result ID is going to be an integer, the ID of each student. So here we're going to write C, which is going to be our cursor we made before from the raw query as well. So it's going to get integer of 0 because it's our first column index. The first column index is 0. Then we're going to put a string of our result name because our result name is a string. Then we're going to do a cursor, same thing, dot get string of this one, which is going to be the second row, which we're going to put a 1 inside the bracket, which is the column index. Then in our results, going to be plus minus, we're going to like increase. Plus minus means increase it each time our result. So when one finishes, go to the next one. So first we're going to do a string value of our result ID. So it shows the result ID plus a space between them. We'll put just quotes for space. Then after we're going to put a plus of our result name, so we can get the name that we put in our database. Then the result name, which is going to get the string from the cursor. Then plus this one is going to be system.getProperty of line separator. So this is a dependent OS of the system, so it's going to get a line separator. So each time a new value goes in, which we put the plus minus, if one adds, then it's going to separate them into each line. Then after that this is done, so you should put that properly. I made a typo, line separator. So then after that, all of it is going to be c.close, so we close our cursor after we finish. Then our database closes, of course, as well. Then in the end, we're just going to return our results. So after that, we're done with our database handler. So that's going to be it for the database handler. So that's all the things: our copy data, check database, make sure you are them all correct, and all the imports, we use them all. As you can see, nothing extra, nothing less. So we just put the column indexes like that, our result name and ID, and we put all the things here. So next, what we're going to do is we have to create an assets folder to put our database inside. So we're just going to go to File, the new folder, assets folder. We don't need to change the location of the folder. So we're just going to create our database assets folder, which we're going to put our database inside that folder, because as we did in our database handler, we put .getAssets. So this has to be in your assets folder. You have to create it like this. It's going to be the same as a resource folder, but this only is going to have your database. So get your database, copy your database, and paste it inside, which ours is called student.db, the same we did in our DB handlers. Database name is going to be student.db. So this is the table that we have named student. We have 1, 2, Chris, and Adam, and this is when you open the application, you see that it properly shows the ID and their name next to it. So thank you for watching this video. Hope you learned something from this. So don't forget to subscribe, it really helps out a lot, and hit the like button, and don't forget to turn on notifications. Thank you.